My name is David. I am a settler born to white parents in England, and we moved to these lands that some people call Canada when I was 2 years old. I live in Toronto with my husband, and that's on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, and the current treaty holders of the Mississaugas of the Credit. I am by day the Assistant Vice President for Research Strategy and Impact, which means I run the research office for York University and do anything else the Vice President tells me to do. And by my fun job is being the Network Director of Research Impact Canada. So thank you so much. Bienvenue à tous à Calgary. I would like to thank Stephanie and Sandy for all the work that you guys never see. And also thank the RIC staff who've also, the Research Impact Canada staff who've also been absolutely instrumental for bringing us here today. We've got 25 people in the room. We've got 15 people online. That makes us 40 people, which is the largest by far annual meeting that we've had with Research Impact Canada. I see Lauren is on screen from the University of Winnipeg. She hosted last year, so thank you very much, Lauren. It's nice to see some folks that I know very well and have seen before. Some new people who have joined existing members, some new people and new members. Some people like Julie, who's come back after taking some time off. Where did you travel? Or where didn't you travel? Argentina, South Africa, before the pandemic. Did you come, was it you who came back with an extra baby or was that someone else? Yes, she went away with one child and came back with two, which is an indication of how long she was away. Pregnant, yes, indeed. Pregnant while traveling, she says. And Steve McGregor's in the house, who has been with us as a graduate student evaluating Research Impact Canada since 2017. Something like that, and is now straight out of his PhD into a very short postdoc because he got hired by the University of Calgary in the Department of Education. So yay, Steve is here. And Steve's brought students with him. I don't think we've ever had students at Research Impact Canada meeting. Hi. And so we'll see more of Steve and his students certainly in the evaluation committee. It's just such a pleasure to be here. I'm going to not be the only one speaking. I'm going to invite Bissy to come up and Julie to come up so we get to meet them as well. But we do start off with the state of the network. And state of this. That's you. Okay. Are we here? Are we good? Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Je parle en anglais, mais the slides en français. Oh, it's one of these. It's like a PDF. I have to scroll down. Gotcha. We always talk about our new members this year. So welcome. If you're online from the Weston Family Foundation, anyone from NATE is anyone in the team from NATE? Lakehead University of Windsor. No, we've got Windsor folks here. Brain Canada. Annalise Poets will be joining us later today. Chronic Pain Center of Excellence for Canadian Veterans. Yay, you guys are here. And the University of York, anyone from the University of York online? Not to be confused with York University. The University of York is in the UK. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new members. We have had maybe 3 new members a year. This is amazing. And on the next slide, we have interest from these folks. Nadine is here from University of Waterloo. So yeah, who is not quite a member, but we have received her package and her application, and that will be reviewed by the implementation committee, which will be meeting tomorrow. So welcome, Nadine. Dalhousie wants to come back. Western wants to come back. They were members, they're coming back. Université Laval might be online. We've invited them to attend online. Bristol in the UK, University of Toronto, Scarborough campus, not the big mothership, but Scarborough campus, and Health Research BC, the provincial health research funding organization with a very, very strong tradition of knowledge translation, are all interested in joining. That's amazing. And be careful what you wish for, because Krista's really helped us think through what can we do, because becoming a new member for Research Impact Canada takes a while to figure it out. It's often experiential. As a new person at an existing member or a new member, it takes a while to understand what are these these waters we're swimming in with Research Impact Canada. And so with that many new members, we're doing a little bit of specific outreach to new members. And just as I say this, Sandy, maybe we might want to also make that group available to new individuals who are existing members. And just to facilitate the onboarding, we used to give every new member one phone call and say, good luck, right? And now we give everyone 2 phone calls. We give you a phone call, and 3 or 4 months later, we'll give you a second phone call. But now we're trying to supplement that with new member activities, just because it does take a while. But you know, had an interesting conversation with the Vice Chancellor of Western Sydney University. He was in Toronto a couple of months ago, and they're really interested in looking under the hood in Research Impact Canada, some universities in Australia. And he said, oh, okay, I get it. Like, we're not a professional association. We're not like CARA, the Canadian Association of Research Administrators. We're very different than that. And he said, okay, I get it. How many members? I said 30. He went, huh, can you do what you do with 100? And I went, oh, that's a good question. So that's a question that we'll be engaging members in. I want you to think about that, about the models for Research Impact Canada. We don't want it to change, but we want it to be able to grow and the model grow and accept new members as they come along. We are interested in world domination, but that's not on the agenda yet. So we've had a bunch of new members. What have we done this year? Through the pandemic, we realized, I was talking with Michael and Krista. Michael and Krista and I have been traveling as Research Impact Canada since we started Research Impact Canada in 2006. And we would always call it the spring tour, right? Because that's when all the conferences were on. And this year we've been to St. John's, which was the Canadian Association of Research Administrators Conference. In Toronto, we were actually in Thunder Bay for the CTU Expo in Toronto for Congress. And then we were in Halifax for the ACIS Impact of Science Conference. And just reflecting with Michael and Krista, like, oh, it's so good to be back, because we did all that remotely. And oh boy, is it tiring, right? We forgot how amazingly energetic it is, and how it is tiring to be at that booth. And again, come back to the RIC staff, because they traveled with the booth. We've got the new branding, which is very cool. Those of you online will see the new branding on the slides as well. So thanks to the RIC staff who kept us going for the tour, the Spring Tour 23. What have we done? Oh, that's right. Sorry, I'm trying to read in French. Scroll a little bit further. There we go. Okay, so some of the things that we've focused on is with these networks on the bottom. We are engaging internationally. Networks that are focused on a particular discipline, maternal health, antimicrobial resistance. Those are ubiquitous. So, you know, researchers and partners working together to create impact. But those networks like ours, which are not specific to any discipline, which cut across disciplines, partner across sectors, we're really the infrastructure for the university. There's not many of us, and Research Impact Canada has ended up sort of coordinating with these other networks. Vincula in the bottom left is a network of 13 Chilean universities who have come together to interface the policy interface with their national government. And they've come together about a year ago. The Advancing Research Impact for Society, our American colleagues, they've been around since about 2014 as the National Alliance for Broader Impacts. They renamed about 5 years ago. And we've had a lot of relationships with ARIS. ARIN is the Africa Research and Impact Network. They are a network of individuals, so not institutions. And they have many individuals in about 26 countries in the African continent. The University Policy Engagement Network is in the United Kingdom, and again focusing on the policy engagement between university researchers and mainly their national government. And then IPEN is the Impact Practice and Evaluation Network of the 7 Crown Research Institutes in New Zealand. And so not New Zealand universities, but the federally funded New Zealand big labs, and they're very interested in impact. We've never been able to get New Zealand stand on a call with the others because somebody's got to be up at midnight when you're doing all of that. But we are talking about models of governance. We're talking about membership fees. So Research Impact Canada is the only of these networks that has membership fees built in. ARIS has introduced those now. We're talking about membership models and what do those look like. And we're talking about collaborations between our networks, but how might our researchers be able to connect on specific activities? So you will see one opportunity that went round on the RIC list. It was funding from the Royal Society or something like that in the UK, and was looking for early career researchers to partner with UK researchers. And we did get a nibble of that at the University of Saskatchewan. And if anyone else has others, do respond to that. So there are opportunities for our researchers that will be coming out of this. I keep trying to give away the lead for these networks, keep saying, well, who would like to chair the next one? And silence. Partly it's that we have an amazing staff team that is able to provide the work to bring people together, to schedule, to take notes, and the others their staffing models are very, very different. So I think that's one, but the international engagement is very, very cool. On this international engagement, Julie asked me to mention, I just got back from Australia on Friday, and was invited down by a group called the Innovative Research Universities. These are 7 universities who kind of look like the not U15 in Canada. In Australia, the U15 is the G8. There are 8 of the air quotes research intensive universities. Then they have a group called Innovative Research Universities, 7 of them, very much research. I started describing them, and York and many of our universities would be in this network if we were in Australia, is that we might have our eyes on international rankings, but our feet are firmly in the ground with our local communities. And so they're really interested, as I said, in Research Impact Canada and how does it work. And they're musing about what might Research Impact Australia look like. So that would be very cool. And we'll see the beginning of global domination. We have changed our governance model this year. Some of you may be aware of this, but I'll review that. We used to have the governance committee, which was the big committee, and we recognized a few years ago, about 2019, that's not a decision, that's a hard decision-making committee when you've got 30, 40 people on a call. And so we created the governance steering committee that's underneath, and it was 9 members who prepared the agendas and the activities for decisions to be made by the big committee with governance. Well, governance is now so big, but what's wonderful at the governance committee meetings is that the members hear about the business of the network. And as part of what we're doing here today or this week at this meeting is, this is not a conference. This is about where you really get to engage with the activities of the network. So we've got the big committee and the little committee. We flipped those. So the big committee, the little committee is now the decision-making committee, and it's called the implementation committee. And I would like to announce the members of the implementation committee. We have got me first, Stephanie, yay, Lauren's online, Julie Madame's in the room, McKinley Darlington, I haven't seen yet. Roberto is in the room, thank you so much. Elizabeth Chuchek is, I think, online, I think I saw her. Lupin's in the room, ooh, hey Lupin. And Chris Houston said yes, I don't think he's online right now, he's from the Université de York. Oh, they were excellent, Université York and Université de York. As in the UK, Geordie Stewart from Weston Family Foundation. And if you're here from Lakehead, someone. Now, Anne has been away and she got back last Monday. I think she was away from Lakehead for a while. And so Anne, if you get this transcription, or anyone can send a message to Anne, which I haven't done so yet. I phoned up Andy, her boss, the vice president, and I said, hey, Andy, we have one spot for a member. University has been a member less than 5 years. He said, we're in. I don't know who, but we're in. So someone from Lakehead. I just thank these members who have agreed to be part of the implementation committee. Yay. And then the big committee's been renamed to the Member Engagement Committee. And because we really do want to keep the engagement with the members, but we want the members to tell the implementation committee what they need to be working on. So the big committee is going to meet 1 month before the little committee, and the big committee is going to create the agenda for the little committee work, so that the all the membership has the opportunity to influence and inform the activities of the network. And then underneath, we have the Professional Development Committee, Michael Johnny, yay, chair. The Evaluation Committee, David, me, woo, chair. Bilingualism Committee, le Comité de Bilingualisation. Do we have a chair for that? Bilingualism? Bilinguous. Okay, thank you. What Julie said, which is why we need a committee. And the EDI thinking group. It's we're thinking because we don't really know what the work is, so it's not a working group. But we do bring this group together on an as-needed basis, and we needed them to come together to think about the strategic plan for Research Impact Canada, which we'll talk about. So thank you for stepping forward to offer to be part of the implementation committee. Mobilize you, Krista or Lupin. Do you want to say anything about? You'll be talking later. So they're talking later. It's is that in a parallel track or it's a plenary? Okay, enough said. They're going to be doing, and Sophie's here. Yay. So Sophie, I just grabbed a picture that says Sophie Ashton off Google Pics, right? And so I'm glad it's you. We'd never met, and I just said, let's go with this picture. So it's excellent. Really, you know, they'll be talking. There's so much good in Mobilize You, but I'm not going to steal their thunder by saying all the amazing things. The resources page, Sylvia, do you want to talk a little bit about the reorg of the resources page? Can you press a button and make that work? There you go. Oh.
Not a whole lot to say on it, but we have featured some resources. We are doing a bit of an update. We've heard from people that they would like to know which are the resources that are most popular, most useful, most used. So if you go to our website and sort by featured, you will see the section of those resources. And we're always open to feedback on improvements and things that you'd like to see. But that is the latest feature that we have implemented.
Great, thank you, Sylvia. And you know, we've become a victim of our own success in that resources page. It was an amazing dumping ground of wonderful stuff that you couldn't find, right? So there's tagging. Right now it's keyword searchable, but if your keyword isn't the keyword that's used by the document, then you're not going to find it. So Sylvia has been tagging and working on the back end of the system to make things more findable. So thank you for that, Sylvia, for your work on that. Not done. She's got, like, you know, has to be here to do other work. And I'm going to pass this over to Bissy to come up and talk about the work we're doing with the Future Skills Centre of Canada. Just a bit of history for those of you who are new to the story. In 2018, might have been 2017, the Conference Board of Canada was writing an application to become the host of the Future Skills Centre of Canada. This was $360 million for investing in Canada's skills. So not just basics, not just advanced skills for employment, but basic skills as well. And 50% of the effort needs to be focused on youth and marginalized populations. So we were part of the Conference Board of Canada's application. It turned out it was shortlisted and then combined with a couple of other proponents, and they were funded, which was great. Then Ryerson, now Toronto Metropolitan University, holds the funds. They are the host of the Future Skills Centre of Canada, and they have asked Research Impact Canada to deliver knowledge mobilization services to their projects. And now they've engaged us for another piece of work, which is why we have amazing staff, because we have amazing money. So I'm going to ask Bissy Bissy is Bissy Wario. Did I pronounce that right? I did, thank you. Is the interim director for acting director. She'll tell you. Connie Tang is off being a mom. Her baby is 4 months, 3 months. Speaking of which, Steve McGregor's baby is 5 months. So we got a lot of new parents affiliated with the network, and we saw Connie a couple of weeks ago. She joined And she's doing, she will be back. As soon as a childcare spot opens up, then she will be back. It could be March, it could be January. We'll see.
Okay. So hi, everyone. For those of you who haven't met me, I should speak into this. So again, for those of you who haven't met me, I'm the acting director of operations. So Connie is coming back. But before that, I was the manager of evaluation and continuous improvement. So I was working on the future skills portfolio, which was really, really great. And really quickly before that, I was actually working in the Future Skills Consortium. So I was at Blueprint, which is the evaluation lead. So I was part of doing piloting and testing for a lot of the projects that FSC was implementing across the country. And then prior to that was actually a career counselor, so delivering skills training programs. So a lot of kind of implementation and work in that space. So as David has says, the Future Skills Center is actually a pan-Canadian initiative. It's made up of a consortium of partners. So they fund different skills training and workforce development programs, research, and initiatives across the country. They also launched a community of practice. So initially this was launched in 2020. It was actually a virtual space, and it was meant to bring together skills training practitioners, researchers, policymakers, business industry, and labor groups to really tackle the question around Canada's skills training ecosystem, career development ecosystem. So FSC realized that they needed to try different approaches to peer-to-peer exchange and engagement and actually bringing people together in a community of practice, and that's where Rick came in. Rick was tasked with experimenting and doing a testing phase to look at peer-to-peer exchange, collaboration, and knowledge sharing. So for the last year and a half, so from April 2022 up until September 30th, so next week-ish, we have been in a piloting and testing phase. So we tested different activities, but how we actually got here, maybe doing two things at once because I'm trying to do French and English. I'm sorry, folks. So last year, between August and November of 2022, our community engagement and marketing team actually did a series of focus groups, one-on-one interviews and surveys, again, across Canada. So we did it in two phases. The first was between August and November 2022, which focused on Future Skills Center funded projects. What did these projects actually want to contribute and actually gain from this community of practice? And then from December 2022 to February 2023, we focused on the larger, or everyone else in the skills training ecosystem. What would they want from this community of practice? What would a skills training practitioner want to potentially meet with a researcher? How could they collaborate on different things? So from this, and it kind of already was our audience, but we really realized that we're focusing on, again, skills training organizations, more particularly frontline practitioners, so those that are actually designing and delivering and upskilling folks for the future of work, researchers, business industry and labor groups, and policymakers / government, which admittedly has been an area that we've been struggling with, but we do know that these are folks that we do want to have in this community of practice as well. So in the first phase, we had about 48 interviews, and then a second phase, we did a survey that reached about 147 people, and then also interviewed another 93. And we tried to get a diverse sample across the country and across these different audiences. So what we heard from folks overall, so from these conversations to connections is what we called them. We learned that folks, especially for FSC projects, they actually wanted to be able to convene and meet with each other to understand what they learned from their pilots or what they learned from their projects. So, you know, a skills training organization in Newfoundland who's focused on IT training may want to hear from another organization in Alberta doing similar work. So really having that space to actually convene, learn from best practices, learn it from evaluation, because all projects funded from FSC are expected to do an evaluation. So learning how to actually apply that and be able to use those learnings to apply for more funding and improve their programs. Networking events, curated smaller thematic events, and also a repository of free resources, which are things that we've been trying to kind of get out of these activities, and a mix of so synchronous events, so live events, and asynchronous or self-paced events, so recorded webinars, for example. So in this piloting and testing phase, which is coming to an end and has been amazing, we kind of situated this across 3 different streams of work. So connecting people to people, so peer exchange and learning. Again, this aspect around meeting, collaboration, and exchange. Connecting people to knowledge, so accessing curated products, case studies, tools, FSC-funded research that has actual insights and tools, and connecting people to learning. So not necessarily professional development, professional capacity building, meeting with experts who can provide targeted support for their work. And then so in this time period between April to September, we tested and piloted many things. So we had 7 peer learning groups. So these were events where we would bring in experts who would do primer presentations on a particular topic and talk about different tools that they've used, and then break people out into breakout rooms. So there's a lot of this was virtual, and try to create that space for exchange and learning. And we would have, again, diverse audiences in these peer learning groups. We tested a cycle of cohorts of engagement. So peer learning groups would be one-off events, which would be 90 minutes. A cohorts of engagement was actually over a 4-month period and would host a mix of live events and then asynchronous engagement over LinkedIn groups. So this really gave folks more time to actually build connections and possibly lead to collaborations. We had a couple that came out of it. 2 participants actually are submitting a proposal to the Nunavut government to work on a project together. So really trying to test, like, how long does it take and what are some of the inputs that are needed to kind of build out a community of practice. And we also did a speed networking event as part of CTU Expo. I don't know if anybody in the room was there, David. So we to test what it would be like to do an in-person speed networking event. It was a little bit different from what we did here. We actually hosted it at a venue. We brought in different experts and we had different different tables and different themes and had folks actually move around the room, which was really great. And then under people to knowledge, we kind of tested out different types of infographics and digital products that we could kind of curate. And then for professional people to learning, so professional capacity building, we had some really successful webinars that we tested, and a couple of other things that I'm trying to remember in English right now. But so for some of the things that we actually learned and some of the key highlights from that phase, there's a comment there. So we reached about 840 individuals overall. This is through the activities that we did, through some of the focus groups, surveys, and everything. And from our peer learning groups and our professional toolkit webinars, which were some of the live events that we continue to do, we had 77 people actually re-attend, which is really great. So at least 77 people that had attended 2 or more events, and I think 52 people that had attended, 77 3 or more, and 52 2 or more. We had some really great turnout. When we started our peer learning group, Sylvia, I don't know if you remember, our first peer learning group last summer, we had 17 people. And a webinar that we tested in June of this summer had 215 attendees. So really growing in popularity. I think this part of this is like testing of bringing in different types of experts with tomorrow events. People know that that's something that people really want. For pure learning groups, when asked if folks found the events valuable, 89% overall said that they found it valuable, and for webinars, 95%. So really building on some of the learnings that we've had throughout the year. And now we're moving into maturity phase, which is going to start October 1st, which is really fast for a pilot around community engagement. So we're going to be sticking to what works for now. So we know peer learning groups have shown really great success. Knowledge products are something that we want to continue to do, including launching and continuing a newsletter. And webinars is something that we'll continue to be doing. So right now we're in David, you can kind of speak to this, a bit of a flux period, but we are moving into the maturity phase. And another piece of exciting work that we're going to be doing with the Future Skills Center is environmental scans. So as they're going into maturity phase and trying to get more funding from the government, they're kind of organizing their work around a few different key areas. So there are 5 themes that they're going to be kind of focusing on. David has spoke to a bit of it. So skills for sustainable futures, net zero economy, responsive career pathways, EDI, equity, diversity, inclusion, with a specific focus on youth, Black youth, Indigenous youth, and I can't remember, there was another one, skills for SMEs and technology and automation. So for maturity phase, the first area that we're going to be tackling is actually tech and automation. So we're going to be exploring, looking at how we can deliver activities for career development practitioners around how to use AI tools for their practice. That was really That was really long, but that's kind of where we're at with the Future Skills Center portfolio. Are we giving people question time?
Yeah, we'll have that at the end.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Betsy. So what's coming up for 2024? That was the Future Skills Center. We have been invited to gather together the business plan for the next 24 months. There's no money yet. But we've been asked, in the anticipation that there shall be another check coming, we've been asked to put that together. So we hopefully will be able to continue this relationship with the Future Skills Center of Canada for at least another 24 months, which would be amazing. That would carry us through 2024. So what are we doing? We are going to be looking at building capacity. Our core business is helping you build your own capacities and your capacities at your institutions. Really thinking about the profession of knowledge mobilization and how do we grow the profession as well as individuals, as well as in our institution, and thinking about looking at maintaining partnership strategies, so strategies with the Future Skills Center, exploring others. Mark your calendars, the June 19th to the 21st in Montreal. Woo! Canadian Knowledge Mobilization Forum is back in person, so that will be amazing. It's actually the same place. When was the last Montreal? 2018, 2017? I think it was 2017. We were at Le Grand Bibliothèque de Montréal. Yeah, you were the only one from Montreal that was there. Yes, but no, from Montreal, the only Montreal person. So we are looking at the Montreal University. So is that right? They're all sitting there. Concordia, Université de Québec, Montréal, Université de Montréal, I said Concordia, and Bishops is close by, but not quite Montreal. Sherbrooke, yeah, and just to see, who would to be involved in helping us plan, not the program, we'll be taking care of all that, but what are the cool things to do in Montreal, and take us to cool restaurants, and so that'll be fun. Steve McGregor is here. He's going to be talking to the evaluation committee. He and his student team are doing some really cool evaluation, digging deep into the stories of how membership in Research Impact Canada is transforming us as individuals, but also our institutions. Is that about right, Steve? And then he's thinking with me about what might be a data set or an indicator set of our institutions' investments in this work. The next picture there is Peter Levesque. He founded the Canadian Knowledge Mobilization Forum in 2012, and he is now busy being retired. But we've created an award in his name, the Peter Levesque Award for contributions to knowledge mobilization as a profession. We have the Graduate Student Awards that Research Impact Canada runs. Community-Based Research Canada runs awards for community engaged scholarship. Faculty members have access to awards through SHRC and CIHR. There's no awards for us. So that's what the Peter Levesque Award is for, people anywhere in Canada. We're still working out the guidelines, but we really want to recognize contributions from professional staff to growing the profession as knowledge mobilization. And then we are still collaborating with the Universities Canada, trying to get knowledge mobilization and a funding program before government to get some money in a federal budget. We've tried unsuccessfully 2 years in a row. Who knows what's going to happen this year, but Universities Canada is very, very supportive. They have put knowledge mobilization in their pre-budget submission, and we're working closely to provide feedback into their advocacy. Things like, if you come from a research office, you might have seen the federal government's priorities for science, technology, and innovation. And these are priorities that guide things like Canada Excellence Research Chairs, the Canada First Research Excellence Fund. And I went through them a couple of months ago, and there are 6 high-level priorities, then there are 56 areas of focus. And fully half of them will never be realized if we only focus on patents and startups. That half of this government's priorities will be realized if they invest in knowledge mobilization. But yet the main public policy drivers come out of commercialization and industry engagement, and that's great. We need that, but fully half of their priorities can come from our work as well. So that's part of the rationale that Universities Canada is taking forward. Also, events that are coming up. We've said about the forum, the Peter Lebec Prize, and the prize for staff. So, and happy to announce. What? Oh, sorry. Oh, this was Julia's slide. Sorry, Julia, come on up. Or press your button if it works. Is there a button anywhere near Julia?
Oh, that works. Okay, great. So hi, everyone. I'm Julia Levine. Oh, talk right into it. Thankfully, I'm not that tall. So thank you. I'm the manager of knowledge mobilization at RIC out of York University. It's nice to meet everyone in person and virtually. So we just wanted to give you a snapshot of some of the asks that we'll have for the network this year. And so as you can see, we will be needing network involvement for three really main activities that we have. So for the first one, it's the Canadian Knowledge Mobilization Forum, which Sylvia is leading our team this year on. And we're going to be looking for network input for when we do content contributions. So that's number one, and it'll probably be around February 2024 when we'll be looking for network involvement. The next one is the Peter Lebec Award. Also sometime around in the new year in 2024, we'll be looking to form a review committee for applicants. And then lastly, our RIC Engage Scholarship Award that we've been doing every year, usually around also February, March time, we'll be looking for a review committee. So all of the coordination and organization of all that is taken care of by our team, but looking for network involvement mostly for a review panel. So those are kind of our three main buckets of work asks that we'll be having for this year.
Great. Thank you, Julia. And again, I'm proud to announce that we will be this time next year in Ottawa. Yay! So we are speaking both with the University of Ottawa and with Carleton. It would be really cool for a co-hosted meeting like that. We don't know yet what that will look like, but we will be back with you. But we know it will be in Ottawa at this time. Although, you know, what I'm thinking about, I don't know, I'm looking at Stephanie, but those of us who work in research offices, this is a difficult time of year, right? Because we're slammed into the fall break. But SSHRC last year moved the Insight Grant deadline from October 15th to October 1st. So moving this to the week after October 1st might free up some space in, I see Heather's nodding. And so might free up some space in for those of us in research offices to be able to more meaningfully engage in this when you're not facing, however many SSHRC Insight grants you have to review for, well, it'll be now October the 3rd, no, October 2nd, Monday, October 2nd. Pardon? Heather staff doesn't know. So thank you very much, University of Ottawa and Carleton. Hopefully jointly, we will be in Ottawa. And I invite you to ask any questions for myself or Julia or Bissy. How much time do we have? We've got a few minutes. Excellent. Okay, yeah. Sylvia? Oh, last slide. I thought that was the last slide. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Prama mentioned this to the online attendees, but I'll also say it to the folks in the room. We are encouraging you to reflect on a few questions throughout the annual meeting. We have a Jamboard. We'll also have some space in the wrap-up closing reflections, but we want to know from you, how do you want to connect with other RIC members over the next few months? This can be over specific areas of interest or specific initiatives, but we want to know, like, how do you want to connect with other members? How can we help facilitate those connections? What events or initiatives would you like to see RIC implement? And what is your biggest takeaway from this year, either at this meeting or this year in general? Success stories, lessons learned. We would really love to hear from you what your experiences have been. So we encourage you to reflect on this throughout the meeting. We will have a Jamboard. We'll share the link and we'll have some space for this on Friday as well.
Thank you. Any questions online? Please raise your hand or stick something in the chat. Sandy, can you see the chat? Oh, Prama, is it? Okay, excellent. Prama, any questions from the virtual group?
No questions so far, but in regards to the CKF 24, Elizabeth just let us know that she'll definitely be there in 2024 and share a list of all the greatest things to do in Montreal.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So this is the kind of review of what we've done and a little bit of the highlights of what's coming forward. The rest of the annual meeting is going to be hearing from members and the work that members are doing, the work that there will be some dedicated plenary like this work. There'll also be breakout parallel sessions. And Sandy, do you want to explain how any of that's going to work? Thank you. Thanks, everyone.